Welcome to Creative Spaces Podcast with Guy Zwick, Chief Creative Officer of Highway 85 Creative. In each episode, we will discuss creative ways to define your space and build your brand.
Tell me about the Highway 85 story, how it started and where you're at today.
Well, the Highway 85 story. I mean, I think from my perspective, being an entrepreneur or getting to a stage where maybe you ran someone else's large business has always been my goal. So I kind of was grooming myself and educating myself along the way to get to that point in some capacity. And I'm sure it happens for a lot of people. There's always some event or decision that makes them just finally make that leap when they feel they're ready. And we made a trip to Mexico. My wife's family has a home down there, and it was always a weekend getaway for us, and we did a lot of activities and talk times on the way there and back. And on one particular trip, we broke down. We made trips during the summer, even in the hot weather, and we had panting dogs, an ailing car that we made it to a town of Ajo, to a Napa dealership to get it looked at. And she was a marketing executive for a company. I was a salesperson at an exhibit company, and this is a Monday when we were traveling home early in the morning. So both works are calling, and everyone's trying to find us. And we just started having discussions about our positions at these companies, the cultures of these companies, and what our roles were, and some of the flailing and things that were going on because we weren't there. Not literally on a napkin, but we dreamt up if we had started our own company, what would it look like? And how would the culture be? And the culture being probably the most important thing to us.
Which we'll get into in just a moment. But So was there a point of inflection for you where you're sitting down, you're broke down, it's Monday morning, probably a bit hungover, maybe, but it's hot, and you with your wife, and you're driving home, and you're like, this isn't the answer. And so did something hit you like a ton of bricks at that point, or did you gradually come to that conclusion?
I think we were gradually coming to that conclusion, or I was personally. I just didn't know when the timing was right. But that event was, I'm going to do this. So when we got back, I was much more serious about it. My wife wasn't as serious about it once we got back into our normal lives. We were in the process of buying a home. So, making big shifts in your work life would not be a good idea. And I just came to her one night and said, I'm doing it.
Just like that.
It's funny because she wasn't as bullish as she was on that trip as I was, and she tried to talk me out of it a little bit and talk to the financial advisor and this and that, and they did talk me off the ledge of not quitting my job right at that moment. Right. Let's wait until you get your house, and which is probably good. I didn't want to leave all my other clients that we were working on projects for out in the dust either. So just began to then dream up of the Highway 85 logo, culture, how, what we wanted to achieve. And that's it.
That's how it was born.
The day I signed on the house, I went into the office and I put my notice in.
That's awesome.
So it was like, that's it. And
die is cast. Here we go.
Yeah, that's it. I started, this is just, it's interesting, and it's funny to look back, but I had built a graphic department, a showroom for the exhibits, reception desks, networks, emails, desks with no one at them, computers all over the place, full lobby, and it was just me. So we would have appointments, the first few appointments, actually the whole first year pretty much, except for when I hired Sean, there's no employees, so I'd have family friends. Everyone would come and fill the seats up. The prospective clients would come through, do the tour, and they'd leave, and everyone would say, thanks, got to go. They go off to their jobs, go back home. I thank everybody, and so I owe a lot to them. I should say thanks to everybody who, even went through all those exercises. But, yeah, and then we built up to where you're asking now, which is a full-time staff of 15, about 8 that float in and out of the shop and production, and a huge network of other support teams on the outside that support this engine now that is Highway 85.
You ever look back and say, wow, it's pretty impressive so far, or no? You don't have time for that?
No.
just moving forward? All right.
No, that lasts for one day. Like when we bought this building, I was super excited, and we're finally have arrived, and okay, now we got to pay for it. Now we got to move on.
Right, let's get this done.
We don't get excited more than the moment, and at least I don't.
Sincerely, talk to me about how important your own company culture is, and what that means to you, and what that means to your clients.
Well, I think I worked in my career for a wide gamut of large companies that were owned by Fortune 500 companies, to mom and pops, to mediums, and in between. The running theme is office culture, office culture, office culture. And I knew which ones I didn't like. I knew which ones weren't inspiring. And I knew which ones had elements that were right and which ones had it right. So when I had my opportunity to do it, it was extremely important that the team at Highway 85 and every individual was empowered to make decisions, to have a say, and that we were all equal. So whether you were the junior person coming in or you're the leading sales dog, you're equal. This team is equal. We all have an important role, and we all have an important voice. And so, that's something I don't want to lose as we get bigger, and a lot of big companies start to. And when they hit that bureaucratic level, we're fighting that as much as we can. And so culture's everything.
I think from my perspective, some people say it and some people do it, but it is a kind of a tight line to sort of, you want everybody's voice to be heard, but sometimes that's just not feasible. Going back to Highway 85, your services. So this isn't a sales pitch, but in general, you offer what to your clients?
We are a creative agency that builds tangible things. So we typically take companies' brands and products and services, and we reinterpret it in a physical way. That might be their corporate interior and how that inspires the team, or how it sells their products to customers coming in, to a trade show exhibit, which, again, is a way of promoting and selling their products and services. And the architecture and the function of the booth is our expertise, is actually building things, and it can be as simple as a car wrap that needs some thought put to it, and how it portrays that company's goals and their success criteria. So
thank you for listening to Creative Spaces Podcast. For more information about Highway 85 Creative, visit us at highway85creative.com.